You were nothing before me." His voice echoed through the ballroom, silencing 300 guests mid-champagne toast. "A nobody waitress who I turned into somebody. And this is how you repay me?" She stood frozen at the center of the room, her emerald dress suddenly feeling like a spotlight, every eye burning into her skin. He stepped closer, his perfect smile twisted into something cruel. "Tell them, Cassidy. Tell them how you try to trap me. How you—" "Stop." Her voice was barely a whisper. But he didn't stop. He never stopped. Until her phone, clutched in her trembling hand, began to play. His voice, crystal clear. From 6 months ago. "She's useful for now. But once the merger goes through, I'm done. She'll get nothing. I made sure of that." The room went dead silent, and his face, that perfectly composed billionaire face, shattered. "Before this goes any further, if you've ever believed in taking a chance on someone, in choosing hard over comfort, please stay with us. Subscribing, liking, or sharing this story isn't about supporting a channel. It's about standing behind stories that remind us who we are. If that matters to you, even a little, stay." 6 months earlier, Cassidy Brennan was working the evening shift at Whole Foods on Lamar Boulevard in Austin when she first saw him. Tall, tailored navy suit. The kind of confidence that made you look twice. Not because he was loud, but because he didn't have to be. He was in the organic produce section, staring at avocados like they'd personally offended him. "Need help?" Cassidy asked, walking over with her employee apron still tied around her waist. He looked up, dark eyes, strong jawline, a half smile that felt dangerous. "Do you know how to tell if these are ripe?" She laughed, squeezed gently. "If it gives a little, it's ready. If it's hard as a rock, give it a few days. If it's mushy, you're too late." "Profound," he said. "It's fruit, not philosophy." He smiled, a real one this time. "I'm Damien." "Cassidy. You always this sharp with customers, Cassidy?" "Only the ones who can't pick avocados." He bought 12 and left her a $100 tip in the charity jar with a note. "For the avocado wisdom." She thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. Damien Kane. That's what the business card said when he came back 3 days later, waiting outside Whole Foods with 2 coffees and a grin. "Thought you could use this after your shift." Cassidy stared. "Are you stalking me?" "I prefer strategically persistent." "That's literally what a stalker would say." He laughed. "Fair. But I'm also the guy who hasn't stopped thinking about you since the avocado incident. So here I am. Coffee. No pressure. But if you say yes, I promise I'm more interesting than I look." She should have said no, but she said yes. And within 2 weeks, Cassidy Brennan, part-time college student, full-time grocery store employee, was dating Damien Kane, founder and CEO of Kane Logistics, a $3 billion freight and supply chain empire. He took her to restaurants where the menus didn't have prices. He flew her to Miami on his private jet just to show her the sunset from South Beach. He bought her dresses that cost more than her rent. "You don't have to do all this," she said one night, sitting on the balcony of his penthouse overlooking Lady Bird Lake. "I want to," Damien said, pulling her close. "You're different, Cass. You're real. Everyone else in my world, they want something. You just want me." She kissed him, and she believed him. For 6 months, she believed every word. Cassidy's best friend, Mara, had warned her once over margaritas at Chewy's on Barton Springs Road. When someone shows you they're too fast, it's because they're hiding who they really are. Cassidy had laughed it off. But maybe Mara was right. Have you ever ignored red flags because the person made you feel seen for the first time in your life? Drop a comment, because this fairy tale is about to become a nightmare. It started small. Damien canceling dinner at the last minute, turning his phone face down when she walked into the room, getting irritated when she asked about his day. "I'm busy, Cass. You wouldn't understand." "Then explain it to me." "It's business. Just let it go." But she couldn't let it go, Because one night, while he was in the shower, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from someone named Victoria. Can't wait to see you in Miami next week. Same hotel. Cassidy's stomach dropped. When Damien came out, towel around his waist, she was holding his phone. Who's Victoria? His face didn't change. Didn't even flicker. A business associate. A business associate who's meeting you at a hotel? It's a conference, Cassidy. Don't be paranoid. I'm not paranoid. You're going through my phone. His voice turned cold. That's paranoid. She set the phone down, her hands shaking. I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening to us. He softened just enough. He pulled her close, kissed her forehead. Nothing's happening to us. I love you. You know that, right? She nodded, but she didn't believe him anymore. 2 weeks later, Damien proposed. Not in private, not in some quiet, intimate moment. At a charity gala at the Fairmont in Austin, in front of 400 people, photographers, and a live orchestra. He got down on one knee, pulled out a ring that could have paid off her student loans 10 times over, and said, Cassidy Brennan, will you marry me? The room erupted in applause. She looked down at him, at his perfect smile, his perfectly rehearsed words, and something inside her screamed no. But everyone was watching, so she said yes. The crowd cheered. Damien kissed her, and she felt nothing. The wedding was set for 3 months later. Cassidy tried to be excited. She tried to believe that this was what love looked like. But then she found the recording. She'd been using Damien's laptop. He told her the password months ago to print out seating charts for the wedding. And when she opened his voice memos app to clear space, she saw it, a file labeled, Legal Strategy, Prenup. Curious, she clicked play. Damien's voice filled the room. Cold, clinical, talking to his lawyer. She's useful for now. The engagement makes me look stable, family-oriented. Good for the Kane Industries merger. But once it goes through, I'm done. She'll get nothing. I made sure the prenup covers everything. She signs. We're married for 6 months, maybe a year. Then I file for irreconcilable differences. Clean exit. The lawyer's voice. And if she doesn't sign, Damien laughed. She will. She's in love. She'll sign anything. Cassidy sat there, frozen, as the recording continued. Besides, who's going to believe her? She's a grocery store worker. I'm Damien Kane. If she tries to make this public, I'll bury her. Her hands were shaking so badly, she almost dropped the laptop. She replayed it, and again, until the words were burned into her brain. Cassidy sat on the floor of that penthouse, staring at the ring on her finger, and she thought about all the times she'd ignored her gut because she wanted to believe in something beautiful. Have you ever stayed in something longer than you should have because leaving felt like admitting you were wrong? Leave a comment, because what she does next will change everything. Cassidy didn't confront him. Not yet, because confronting Damien Kane in private would get her nowhere. He'd deny it, gaslight her, make her feel crazy. No, if she was to take him down, she needed to do it where it would hurt the most, in public. She copied the audio file to her phone. Then she did something she never thought she'd do. She called a reporter, not just any reporter. Miranda Cho, an investigative journalist with the Austin American-Statesman who'd been trying to dig into Kane logistics for years. I have something you'll want to hear, Cassidy said. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Meet me. They met at a coffee shop in South Austin. Cassidy played the recording. Miranda's eyes went wide. Holy shit. Can you use this? Can I use this? This is career-making. But Miranda looked at her carefully. Are you sure you want to do this? Once this goes public, there's no taking it back. He'll come after you. Let him. Cassidy said quietly. I'm done being his prop. When do you want to run it? Cassidy smiled, cold and sharp, after the engagement party. The engagement party was held at a private estate in West Lake Hills, overlooking the Austin skyline. 300 guests. A live band. Champagne fountains. Cassidy wore the emerald dress Damien had picked out for her. She smiled. She played the part. And then, halfway through the night, Damien took the microphone. "I just want to say a few words about my beautiful fiancé." The crowd quieted. Cassidy came into my life when I least expected it. She was working at a grocery store. Scattered, polite laughter, and she had no idea who I was. And that's what I loved about her. She didn't want my money. She didn't want my status. She just wanted me. Applause. Cassidy's stomach turned. "But recently," Damien continued, his tone shifting, "I've learned some things that have made me question whether that was ever really true." The room went silent. Cassidy's heart stopped. "Turns out," Damien said, his smile turning cruel, "Cassidy's been talking to reporters, trying to sell stories about me. About us. For money." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "That's not true," Cassidy whispered. But Damien wasn't done. "You were nothing before me. A nobody waitress who I turned into somebody, and this is how you repay me." The room was silent, watching, judging. "Tell them, Cassidy. Tell them how you tried to trap me. How you—" "Stop." Her voice cracked, but he didn't stop until her phone, clutched in her shaking hand, began to play. The audio filled the room, crystal clear, unmistakable. Damien's voice. "She's useful for now. But once the merger goes through, I'm done. She'll get nothing. I made sure of that." 300 people stood frozen. "She's in love. She'll sign anything." Damien's face went white. "If she tries to make this public, I'll bury her." The room erupted. Whispers. Gasps. Phones out, recording. Cassidy looked at Damien, really looked at him, and said loud and clear, "You were right about one thing. I was nothing before you. But you know what I am now? Free." She turned and walked out. The crowd parted like the Red Sea, and Damien stood there, speechless, as his perfect life crumbled around him. By the next morning, the audio was everywhere. Austin American-Statesman. Kane Logistics CEO caught in explosive audio scandal. TMZ. Billionaire secret recording exposes marriage scheme. The board of Kane Logistics called an emergency meeting. Investors pulled out. The merger collapsed. And Damien Kane, untouchable billionaire CEO, was forced to step down. Cassidy's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Interview requests. Book deals. People who suddenly wanted to hear her story. But there was only one call she answered, from a lawyer named Andrew Morales. "I represent 3 other women," he said. "Women who've had similar experiences with Damien Kane. They've been too afraid to come forward. But after what you did, they want to talk." Cassidy closed her eyes. "Tell them I'm listening," she said. Andrew told Cassidy something that stuck with her. "Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing the right thing even when you're terrified of what it'll cost you. And maybe that's the truth. Maybe the bravest thing we can do is stop protecting people who hurt us and start protecting ourselves. If you've ever had to choose between staying silent and speaking your truth, leave a comment, because this is where everything changes." 6 months later, Cassidy stood in front of her new office in downtown Austin, Brennan Advocacy Group, a nonprofit dedicated to helping women navigate toxic relationships, prenups, and legal abuse. Funded by the settlement she'd won from Damien Kane. Her phone buzzed. A text from Mara, "Proud of you, babe. Drinks tonight?" And then another text, from a number she didn't recognize. "Hi, my name is Lucas. I run a legal aid nonprofit in Miami. I read about your story. Would love to talk about partnering with you. No pressure. Just coffee." Cassidy smiled, and for the first time in a long time, she replied, "Coffee sounds good." A year later, Cassidy sat across from Lucas Navarro at a Publix cafe in Coral Gables, Miami, where they'd started meeting every month to coordinate their joint advocacy work. He was brilliant, Kind, funny in the quiet, unexpected ways that made her laugh when she didn't see it coming. You know, Lucas said, stirring his coffee, when I first reached out to you, I thought you'd be, I don't know, angrier. I was angry, Cassidy said, for a long time. But anger's exhausting. At some point, you have to decide what you want to build instead of what you want to burn down. He smiled. You're pretty wise for someone who used to give avocado advice. She laughed. That's where it all started, actually. With avocados? With me realizing I deserve more than someone who saw me as useful. Lucas looked at her for a long moment. For what it's worth, I think you're extraordinary. She felt her cheeks flush. Lucas. Not useful, not convenient. Extraordinary. And for the first time since Damien Kane, Cassidy felt her heart open again. Not because Lucas was perfect, but because he was real. Asterisk. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes a doorway to the best thing that ever could. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find out who you really are. And sometimes the life you thought you wanted was just preparing you for the life you were meant to live. If this story touched you in any way, if it made you feel something, pause for a moment, or see life a little differently, please don't let it end here. These stories take heart, time, and care to create, and your support is what keeps them alive. Subscribing, liking, or sharing isn't just a click. It's a quiet way of saying this mattered. If you believe stories like this deserve to be told, please stay with us.